Welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, where we are your resource for education, connection, and collaboration. And right now I have two beautiful guests with me today, but we're going to start with Jeff Pearson. Jeff is a true inspiration and advocate for individuals with invisible conditions, from undergoing multiple surgeries due to hydrocephalus at a young age to becoming a successful speaker, author, business owner, and TV host of Invisible Condition. It's Not All in Your Head. And I got to say, I love that title. Jeff's journey is nothing short of remarkable. Through his platform, Invisible Condition, Jeff sheds light on the hidden medical battles that many face daily. As the founder of Invisible Condition University, Jeff provides a lifeline of support, resources, and community for individuals and families navigating similar challenges. And as most of us know, behind every good man, there is a good woman providing him with love, support, and encouragement. So please welcome my guests, Jeff and Catherine Pearson.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'm sorry. Oh my God. You know what? I was just talking to somebody named Dawn just before this, and so I totally, and you were telling me about Dawn.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
My fault. I brought up the name, but I guess coloring the hair didn't help because it's like I'm quite a few shades darker now.
At least it's not the Rachel thing at the wedding, right? We don't want to, like with the Ross and Rachel thing, we don't want to say the wrong name at the altar. But here, it's, we're cool. It's all right.
Or other situations, but we won't go there. So,
all right, Laura.
On that note, so Jeff, can you share with us your personal experience with hydrocephalus and how it influenced the creation of your Invisible Condition platform, your TV show? I mean, that's just really launched for you. So could you fill us all in a little bit about that and what hydrocephalus is for those that don't know?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for this opportunity too, by the way. This is awesome. I love this. So thank you. Yes, hydrocephalus. It is a word that is hard to pronounce, harder to spell, and nobody has ever heard of it, I feel like. But it's really common. So hydrocephalus occurs when somebody has a blockage in one of their ventricles in the brain. So the brain produces about a quart of what's called cerebral spinal fluid every single day, and it's got to go somewhere. And so it goes down the ventricles, which are built into the brain, and then it kind of drains down the spinal column and reabsorbs into the system. That's the natural way it's supposed to go. Those of us with hydrocephalus, me in particular, one of those ventricles was blocked. And so it didn't have as many places for that fluid to escape. And so it started to collect. And thankfully, they caught it at my 2-week checkup when they did that head measurement like they always do. Wow. And said, it's just a little bit bigger than it should be. Let's do a CAT scan. And sure enough, they found out that there was something wrong. And so the common remedy for hydrocephalus still is now is to do brain surgery and put in what's called a shunt, which entails a little piece going into the brain to draw the fluid out, a shunt, a pump basically called a shunt being attached to that, and then a cord attached to the shunt that reroutes that cerebral spinal fluid to reabsorb somewhere else in the body, kind of like an artificial ventricle. It's amazing. I don't remember who came up with it, but it's a brilliant invention. They've kind of revamped it and updated it over the years, but it's a great way to do it. And that's saved my life at 2 weeks old. So.
Okay. So first question is I believe you said it was the MRI that they did, or is it a CAT scan?
They did a CT for that one. Yeah.
Is that the only way or the best way to identify it, whether you have it or not? Besides the measurement, I mean, the measurement led to it, but how do they really confirm? I mean,
so for me, they confirmed it with a CT scan, a CAT scan. But depending, and there's different types of shunts. And some of them have different types of materials in it, and depending on what type of shunt you have and what kind of materials are in it, and sometimes it's more appropriate to do an MRI, sometimes it's more appropriate to do a CT. Just depends on the type of shunt you have. For me, CT has been pretty typical. I've done plenty of MRIs. I've had 4, 5, 6 different types of shunts over the years, though, too. So
yeah.
But as far as diagnosis, yes, it's most commonly a CAT scan.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're perfectly fine.
Diagnosis,
to me, that has to be, or at least for me, I can say that would be really scary and kind of horrifying having someone mess with my brain. I can take a lot of things or a lot of surgeries if they come up, but the brain and the heart, that's a little scarier.
Yeah, it can be a little dicey. Yeah, the brain, it doesn't like to be messed with. So every time you have surgery in there, it can present, you wake up and go, okay, what happened this time? What kind of side effects are we going to get to, account for this surgery? So it just kind of depends. You roll the dice and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But hey, he's still alive.
After multiple surgeries, not
here we still are.
That's the benefit of brain surgery.
Better than the alternative, right?
Oh, that is. How many have you had now, Jeff?
7 total. I've had about 15 surgeries as a result of the hydrocephalus, but 7 of them, only 7 brain surgeries. So.
Oh, only 7.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that you may have to go through more in the future? Is it kind of an ongoing thing, or you don't know? It just
it's kind of an ongoing thing. I mean, it's an ongoing possibility. I mean, I had one at 2 weeks old initially. I had one at about 6 months old. I had one at 18. And then I had a nice long break for about 18 years. And then I've had 4 since 2014. So it's just a matter of the functionality of the shunt holding up. And these last 10 years, it's just been a little more frequent. So who knows? I mean, we hope I never have to have one ever the rest of my life. But,
right.
It's just kind of a thing. You never know.
And speaking of hope, I believe you have Hydro with Hope.
Yes. So, Hydro with Hope is our nonprofit that we created to help people that are going through this crazy process of, holy smokes, my kid's going to have what kind of surgery, And because I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall listening to my parents react to, me, a 2-week-old, saying, oh, sorry, we're going to have to do brain surgery first. Then you can take them home. So Hydro with Hope is there to provide practical resources to help parents and families deal with this kind of news and this kind of like life that you now have ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you said 2 weeks. So is that when your first surgery was, when you were 2 weeks old?
2 weeks old, first brain surgery.
Wow.
Yep.
So,
right?
so probably in a natal ICU, I would think.
I would imagine. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The first couple, there was 2 weeks and then 6 months. So those were probably in the natal. Yeah.
Right.
For little people.
So would you say that all of this and everything you've been through and maybe you're not in your parents' shoes, so obviously you don't know exactly what they're feeling going through, but
sure.
Knowing how horrifying it could be from people, is that kind of what drove you to start Hydro with Hope, your invisible condition? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Hydro with Hope, we were sitting in a doctor's in an office in 2018, waiting for the neurosurgeon to come in. That was one of my surgeries was in March of 18. And, like a month later, we came for a CAT scan and a follow-up. Yeah. And, so we were sitting there and just, listening and just kind of sitting there waiting for the doc to come in. And of course the walls are nice and thin in those offices. And so we kind of could hear what was going on in the next room. We couldn't hear the words, but we could hear the tone of the conversation, and it didn't sound great. Yeah. And so I thought, man, I wonder, it flashed me back to my parents, at 2 weeks old for me, and saying, man, I wonder if we could, I wonder if they're getting that news, I wonder if we could help families like that, that are getting hit between the eyes like that with all this crazy news.
As a parent, to hear the news of, hey, your newborn or your tiny little child is going to have to go through brain surgery, it would be devastating, collapsing almost.
Yeah.
So it was very motivating to say, how can we support families, couples, parents that are going through the same challenge of learning that, their small, vulnerable little child is going to have this very serious surgery. So we want to come alongside those families in a practical way.
Yeah. And that kind of brings up another question, because you guys are parents, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So is hydrocephalus, is that genetic at all? Is that something you needed to be concerned about or no?
So yeah, we were at first, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When we were pregnant with our first kiddo, we did let the medical professionals know, hey, this is in Jeff's history, and is there anything that we need to do to account for that? And they did help us to go through some family kind of genetic, looking at all of the different things that are going on in his background, my background, and they really came to, what happened to him is kind of a fluke. So no, you guys should be fine. You shouldn't have to have your kiddos should be fine. So yeah, so fortunately, both. Why did I say both?
You have 3, by the way.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's okay.
All 3 kids are great.
Sorry, kids.
Just to be clear about that, yes.
Once you get past 2, it's like
exactly. It all runs together. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did actually. Our son, when he was a month old, did have to have surgery. Not the same type of surgery, but we did go through a scary point in time where he was not keeping food down, and so we ended up having to take him to the hospital. And so I remember going, oh my gosh, my 1-month-old for us is going to have to go through surgery. Fortunately, I guess it's a surgery that's fairly common, so he went through it just fine. He's totally fine, but I can totally relate to those parents that have to face their kiddo going through a serious surgery. So
yeah. So since you are here, Catherine, I got to ask you, because I know Jeff just makes it sound like, oh yes, no problem, I've gone through this. and I love it. That is a great attitude to have. But does it get any easier for you if he has to have another one? Is it? I mean, that's got to be scary for you as well.
Yeah. Yes. The first surgery that he had to have was an emergency abdominal surgery, and that was probably the scariest because we had nothing in our marriage for about 14 years. And so that one was the scariest. I found myself sitting in a hospital waiting room by myself going, what's happening? And fortunately, we had a very good friend that came, when she heard the news, she came and sat with me. And that, at the time I was like, oh no, don't worry about it. but that really, it was really nice to have somebody with me. And since that time, yes, Jeff's gone through multiple other surgeries. And if I'm being candid, if I'm being honest, I pray for him. I pray over him as he goes into surgery, during surgery, and just whatever the Lord wills, as the outcome is where I put my faith. So it's challenging, but it's slightly easier when I lean on my faith.
As someone that can navigate hospitals all too well from other family members and other halves, I can relate. I was like, that's not something I would like to be proficient in, is navigating hospitals, but many of us do. Yeah.
Agreed.
So let's go. So you launched Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. So obviously what you're going through, tell us a little bit more about why you decided to do that and about the name.
So we were at a conference promoting Hydro with Hope and promoting our journal and promoting everything that we're doing there. And then that's where we met. In fact, I think somebody walked over to me and took me by the arm and said, you need to meet this person, and introduced me to Julianne. And so when it's your story, you don't really feel like it's extraordinary. I've been doing this for decades. I've lived with it. It's, okay, fine, sure. This is what we do. And you just adapt, Mm-hmm. But when somebody that's not in that world hears 7 brain surgeries and hears those kind of stories, that's where you get a little bit of a reality check and go, oh yeah, okay, this is extraordinary. This is a little different that you're, able to, have a family and kids and career and do all these things with brain surgery in the mix. And so she said, we should talk about a TV show. I said, okay, well, you're going to have to teach me everything because I have no idea what you're talking about. And so she did. Julianne's amazing. And she taught us, everything and went through her course to do it. And it was fantastic. And then we had to find a name. And we said, well, it can't be the hydrocephalus hour. Nobody would watch that for more than about 2 weeks, So we said, okay, first of all, you can't pronounce it, you can't spell it. So let's do something different. So we just brainstormed and came up with invisible condition, because we figured we'd be able to cover so much ground with that because there's so many things out there that people are living and thriving with, but you can't see it. And it's not all the tagline. It's not all in your head is really because a lot of those invisible conditions get second guessed by medical staff, by people that people that you don't know. And so really it can start to feel like it. It's like, well, I know I'm feeling this, but nobody else can see it. Is it really in my head or am I really feeling, and so it seemed appropriate.
Yeah. I personally think it's appropriate and I love it just because there are so many things, people suffer from TBI, PTSD, and we're in such a negative society and all the negative stuff thrown at us a lot that people just jump and make assumptions, and think that there's something else, wrong with you or whatever. And there is nothing wrong with you. Obviously you're doing very well, but just because you can't physically see something about someone doesn't mean that they don't have their own struggles.
It's true. Yeah, 100%. I tell the story a lot on my show with different people because it applies to any condition. I used to, years and years and years ago, I would see somebody, I remember seeing a guy, pull up to the supermarket and park in a handicap spot. He had the tags on the car, handicap tags. He pulled into the handicap spot, jumped out of the car, jogged into the store, came right back out, got back in the car with his bags and drove off. And I thought, that was odd. I wonder whose handicap car he took.
He doesn't look
like he needs that parking spot. And then, as the years have gone by and I've gone through 4 brain surgeries and 2 other surgeries in the last 10 years, I kind of thought better of that and thought, well, maybe he napped for about 2 hours before he got up and had the strength to go to the store for that 10 minutes. And then maybe when he got home, he put the groceries away and passed out on the couch for another hour to rest up after that journey. So you don't know everybody's story. So invisible, that's why it's interesting because invisible, you never know. So,
no. You don't. And just a short story, I have a friend that suffers from TBI, PTSD, has a service dog. And we went out one time and we're in an elevator and this guy looks at both of us and says, which one's the dog for? It doesn't look like anything's wrong with you. What's wrong with you? I'm like, and then I'm like, it's just, I don't know. I don't think people just really know how to respond. And it's like, I mean, I don't think it was even necessary personally to be pointed out. I just wish everybody would be more of a decent human being and stop judging people. But right. I can kind of relate to what you're saying. It's just, people make snap judgments. So.
Well, and sometimes they can't not say something. They have to, it's like they feel like they have to say something and it almost never comes out well. And so you kind of have to get used to it and you have to kind of make light of it. I'll say all the time, on the show or talking to people on Zoom calls and, I'll tell them all the time, don't worry about it. Memory's only the second thing to go. It's okay. Don't feel bad, and they'll say, oh, well, what's the first? I said, I don't know. I forgot that years ago. Don't ask me things like that, because the shunt is in a place where the short-term memory is in the brain. And so I've had a lot of trauma to that part of the brain. So I write a lot of things down. I don't remember a lot of stuff off the top of my head. And so that's kind of my running joke, to keep it light, otherwise you just drive yourself nuts. So,
and we know life is too short for that.
Right.
Yeah. So you have been doing this your show for what, almost a year now, right? Or a full year? Have you?
It's been over a year. We started on April 4th of last year. So it's been about 14, 15 months, something like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so now you're growing your brand and your message even further by creating the Invisible Condition University.
Yes.
We're going to have to go to break soon, but just to give people at least a snippet, do you want to tell them a little bit about why you created the university and what it's about? Either one of you.
So, yeah. So Invisible Condition University is something that we wish we would have had 10 years ago. I mean, honestly, it's something that you could have used 10 years ago, right?
Right.
So, I mean, every time I had surgery, Catherine and the rest of the family, my parents, my in-laws, everybody that was around me and loved me was kind of on their own, honestly, because once you get kicked out of the hospital from the surgery, they don't really, there's not like a hotline.
You're not their problem anymore.
Right? I wasn't trying to be, I was trying to be a little nice, but yes, you're not their problem anymore. And so that's why we created ICU. We wanted to provide a place for people that, like us, like so many others, to have a community that listens and cares and walks with you during this, no matter what you're going through. So we meet on Zoom every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. And the next one will be August 20th at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And we meet for about an hour. And just come as you are, come with your questions, come with your concerns, come with whatever you're dealing with, and we'll talk through it. Over the last year, we have amassed a huge resource list of amazing individuals and organizations that I didn't even see that coming. That was kind of a side benefit. And that's kind of what sparked this, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah. To be able to, we've met so many people through the show that he's hosted that just have incredible resources, incredible methods, incredible modalities and therapies, that could really be used by a wide number of people. So let's share those, let's not keep them to ourselves. Let's see how many people we can help and spread the word about these options that are absolutely available, that didn't feel like they were available right after we got out of the hospitals.
Yeah.
Right. So we had to hunt for them. We had to peck and hunt and search and try stuff that didn't work and spend a bunch of money that didn't pan out.
that you shouldn't have had to spend. And
right. And so we have the resource now we want to share so that other people can cut through all that and just get the help they need.
Okay, and we're going to go into more detail about that, who it serves, what they can expect from the university, as soon as we come back from a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Hey, we got soul. Oh, yeah, we got soul.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
So Jeff, before we get into the who is specifically targeted in your audience and stuff for the ICU,
Yeah.
I see you. I mean, was that a thought in your head? I mean, your show's called Invisible Condition. You've created a university, and the acronym happens to be ICU. Was that intentional? Just kind of came by accident? Because most people, ICU is a very scary thing and not normally something that stood for something good. It normally means something very bad.
It's not a place that most people want to go. No, not if they're sane. So yeah, usually the intensive care unit is not anywhere anybody wants to go. But
been there a couple times. I don't want to go there.
Right? But Invisible Condition University is somewhere where you should be excited to go. So yes, that was on purpose. Yes, we did put thought into that. And yeah, ICU. And so we wanted to kind of flip the script on it.
Reclaim the acronym for something good.
That's right.
Something pleasant. An ICU that you are excited about.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll take a little getting used to, but I love it. I think that's, great. A great way to turn things around and put a positive spin on something that is normally doom and gloom, or I shouldn't say doom and gloom, but very stressful, because normally if you're in the ICU, it's something serious and you can go one way or the other. So,
well, and the other thing, if you think about how it sounds, so it's the letter I, the letter C, the letter U, ICU, Invisible Condition University, but it's also, I see you. You are not alone. You are not, you have a community, you have a voice. We are here to help you.
You're not invisible.
You're not invisible.
Even if your condition is you're not invisible, we see you.
That's right. So it's a kind of dual purpose there.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, something you put a lot of thought into. Being a military veteran, I'm used to acronyms, and of course, once I think texting and all that came out, now we have another whole world of acronyms or short stuff. Lord. So, but
yeah,
that had some nice, serious thought to it. So, who specifically is the target audience that ICU aims to serve?
Yeah, so we're wanting to help people who have been diagnosed with conditions and the caregivers that help those people that are alongside those diagnosed folks. And so we want to, provide support, encouragement, resources for both on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. So we like to think of it as a triangle. I can't do a triangle with my hands.
Everybody's used to this. That's a better one, but yeah. Gotcha. That's a whole nother show.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. So a triangle with the diagnosed person, the caregiver person, and then all of the resources. The community, the resources, all of the university aspect, right? The learning, right? The learning piece. What can we learn about how to care for ourselves in a better and more thorough way. So, yep.
Yeah. Good
so,
stuff.
So how would you say it caters to individuals that are facing invisible medical conditions like hydrocephalus? I mean, I know you mentioned you want to go in a little more detail about maybe some of the resources that they're going to be able to find.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, over the time doing the show, we've just found so many amazing practitioners and people that help that population, and people that can, some people that can help them in a really practical way. Sometimes it's in a way that you wouldn't even expect, like maybe they help you handle this part of life so that the condition isn't so overwhelming, or maybe it's something directly with whatever condition you're dealing with, or, I have a very vivid vision of maybe having some of these practitioners on with us during the hour Zoom call, so that they can maybe address some of the stuff, and we can let people know ahead of time, like, hey, join us next week for, this person's going to talk about,
sleep,
whatever. Yeah. Sleep,
getting a good night's sleep.
Right. Or whatever, something else that could help you, and so if you have questions about that, bring them with you and come join us, kind of thing.
Or if you deal with chronic headaches, here's a resource to help deal with chronic headaches, or any kind of chronic pain. Here's someone who can help you deal with chronic pain. I'm trying to think of some of the other examples of people we know, but
so really, you're fostering kind of a sense of community and connection among its members of ICU.
Yes, and I imagine probably I could see this happening where as people come and they've been there for weeks and months, maybe coming and getting a lot out of ICU and really enjoying coming back and hearing other people's stories and like, oh, how can we help them? Maybe they have resources too that they're like, hey, we tried this, maybe some we've never even heard of, and they've like, hey, we tried this and it worked really good. Like we're not going to claim to be, we're no medical professionals. Like we're not going to diagnose anything, fix anything, but it's all about resources. We tried a ton of them over the last 10 years. And so we want to save people from having to try so many.
Yeah, so. I don't know about anybody else out there, but we got to a point with the medical community, and let me be clear, love the medical community.
Wouldn't be here without them.
It's absolutely, it has saved Jeff's life. And we would go back for follow-ups, hey, we're still having this issue. He's having headaches. They're chronic. They are migraine level headaches. Mm-hmm. How can you help us? And it got to the point where one of the medical professional was just saying, sorry, guess you'll have to live with headaches. And we were not okay with that answer, but we didn't know where to turn. So it just started a journey of research and learning and seeking and, like Jeff said, spending a few dollars on trying different things.
But you invested in yourself and your health.
Well, and thankfully we did find for that particular, that was back in 2014 after 2 back-to-back brain surgeries within 24 hours and dealing with an infection in the cerebral spinal fluid and all kinds of craziness. Like you said, it was 24/7 migraine headaches for over a year that I had to go through. And finally we found a chiropractic neurologist that helped us a ton. That was so great. And then we also found another place that did something called neurofeedback that within about a month of going there, the migraines were gone. It was a miracle. It was so cool. Yeah. And so it's just little stuff like that. It's like how do we happen upon those? How would you ever find those? So we want to help.
Yeah. You have to be willing to dig into it. But it sounds like most of your resources, maybe if not all, you can correct me if I'm wrong, are more holistic and natural.
Yes.
I think it's really easy for people. Well, I should be careful about generalizing. It's probably more easy for people to find medical professionals that will help them, right? Because you go to a doctor, they almost always have a referral, go try this other medical doctor and so I feel like those options are easier to find, but it's the holistic, it's the natural alternative resources that are not as easy to find, but can still be very, very useful, impactful. And I like the phrase that you use, Jeff. Do you want to?
Yeah. Part of me, the holistic world is more whole body. You go the medical route and it's like you need something with your foot, you go to the foot doc. You need something with your hand, you go to the hand doctor. You need something with your brain, you go to the brain doctor. And they all might give you a medication and you don't know if they're all going to jive together or they might have side effects. And, so when you go somewhere that's holistic, it's usually treating the whole body in some way. And so it's accounting for everything. And so I tell people all the time, traditional Western medicine and hospitals and surgeons and doctors kept me alive. But the alternative world gave me my life back. So, it's awesome.
Really the combination of both worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to use resources from both of those.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a huge gap where these two, the Western and the alternative, they just don't like to work together. They don't like to talk to each other. They don't like to mesh. They don't mesh well together. But I think we should bring them together personally.
I think it's starting to come around a little bit. Like you, Western medicine, it has its place. I'm glad we have the specialists and they're trained, because when you need that immediate tension and relief, you've got to do it. Mm-hmm. But I love the holistic side, because like with Jeff, I mean, really throwing more prescriptions at me or more medications, it's a Band-Aid fix. It makes you feel better, but it's temporary. Unless you fix with what's in you and what's going wrong, you're going to have to constantly need one or the other. And I don't know about you all, but you start listening to those commercials and blah, 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 they rattle it off so fast. These are the side effects. I'm like, normally death or something else is there. It's like, no, thanks. I will deal with my condition. I'm good. I don't need that side effect, but they rattle it off so fast. And it's just, I'm like, read the fine print. There's a lot of stuff out there.
That's going to give me nightmares. No. Yeah. So it should be both, honestly. And there are organizations popping up all over the place. In fact, I'm going to be speaking at one later this year. And that is their focus. Their whole focus is bringing together holistic practitioners and the medical world and helping them to work together to benefit the patient. And so they're coming back, more common now, which is nice. So,
yeah. So how would you say does ICU play a role in empowering individuals to take charge of their lives despite their invisible conditions?
I think that's the main thing, is helping them to advocate. Giving them ideas and saying, look, just ask. ASK to GET. You never know. You can't get if you don't ask. And so if you stay silent in your medical appointment, you're just going to go home frustrated and probably on a couple more drugs. But if you ask and say, look, I heard about this. Do you know anybody that can help me? Or, go online and research it, or go on forums and pages online that deal with that kind of stuff. Do your own research, be your own best advocate,
But also bring your questions to us as well. We would love to hear those questions. What are people most dealing with? What are they most struggling with? And what sort of resources can we help you connect with, in order for you to the word you used, Laura, to be empowered to seek out what will help you to feel better. Maybe it's chiropractic, maybe it's neurofeedback, maybe it's acupuncture, maybe it's breath work, maybe it's a good night's sleep. Who knows?
We probably could all use that, but
right. So there's so many different options. And so we would really love for people to come and bring their questions and their concerns and their challenges. And we want to help, walk alongside with them to find the answers, the resources that'll be impactful for them.
And a lot of those people that we have, on that Rolodex, that magic Rolodex, so to speak, are people that they probably will work within your medical, if you have a thing, that combination is okay. I'm not saying the medical world is bad. It's just you got to be open to using both sometimes. And so these are options. Most of the options we have are ones that could go alongside any kind of medical thing that you're already doing, and maybe would minimize some of that medical intervention that you would need down the road if you employed some of these natural things. Maybe you could get off a medication you're on, or maybe, I can't guarantee anything, but it's options. Options are good. And the medical world doesn't give you very many options.
And like you said, we're not doctors, so we're not saying that, but you have a lot of life experience. 7 surgeries, and look at you go. And look at you now. So it's something to be said. It's very inspirational, for one. Yeah. And I love what you're doing. I always say you can do more together, which I love. It's why I love building communities that are not judgment, be open-minded, and who knows what you could discover. I don't claim to know everything. I'm sure you're not claiming to know everything, but you know things that have helped. So if nothing else, you can connect and collaborate with other people.
Exactly.
To get them that support.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. I really do love that. So you want to elaborate on the importance of creating that awareness, if nothing else, about invisible medical battles through the ICU?
I mean, yeah, after so many people that we've talked to on the show, it became very evident that a lot of people are asking a lot of the same questions, no matter what the condition, no matter how long they've lived with it, or if it's brand new. A lot of the questions that they have are a lot of the same. What do I do now? My doctor's telling me this. My parents are telling me this. My friends are telling me this. This doctor over here is telling, and sometimes you just gotta breathe, and just slow your roll for a second, and like, let's just chill for a second and think through this a little bit before we panic, And so that's a big piece of it too, because when people are coming to I imagine, people coming to this, there could be, they could have absolutely panic in their life, because it's something they've never dealt with before, or it's a new thing that cropped up that they're like, oh man, now another, and so to be able to just kind of slow down and just breathe for a second and know that you've got somebody that's going to sit there and listen and not just cut you off after 15 minutes to go to the next patient, right? We're going to listen. You
don't want to feel like you're on an assembly line.
Oh my gosh.
Next one.
Yeah.
Or in another medical waiting room.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to a neurologist that I absolutely he was phenomenal. And I think the first appointment we had with him, we sat there for over 2 hours and just talked. And he's like, okay, give it all to me. And he was writing stuff down and asking questions and clarifying and all the things. That's so rare to find somebody like that. So we want to be that. We want to be that voice. We want to be that listening ear, and be able to help them in that way.
Yeah, because there was another neurologist that we went to that sat with us for 10 minutes and then prescribed a drug that turned out to really mess with Jeff's mental stability. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, we're done with that prescription. We're done with that office.
It comes in all forms, they're not all created equal. Right. Medical professionals are not all created equal.
Second, third opinions are always good. And of course, we all know that we are all good at giving advice and opinions, whether people want them or not. Maybe good or maybe bad, but ultimately it is up to you. It is your decision because it is your body. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in our system today. Some people call it healthcare. I call it sick care, whatever you want to call it. But you get so caught up in that you lose sight that there's other options. I know I have done it in the past where this one referred you to this, to this, to that, and you're getting thrown more muscle relaxers, more painkillers, whatever. and it's just like, you know what? Once everything stopped, it's like, oh no, chiropractor, acupuncture can fix this. I don't need that because all it did was mask it. So.
Right?
Exactly. Most traditional Western medicine, not all, not throw them under the bus, most traditional Western medicine treat a symptom. They do not go after the root cause usually. And I've found that the more holistic, functional medicine type of end of things are more interested in the actual root cause. They want to work themselves out of a job. Is what they want to do. They want to help you feel better so that you don't experience the symptoms. So I feel like those are two very different views.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of different perspectives. I know a couple others, but we ain't even going to go there. So ICU. So let's talk, because most universities, memberships, anything like that normally has a cost to it. What can people expect for ICU?
Yeah. So we created, if you go to myfreegiftfromjeff.com, that's myfreegiftfromjeff.com.
QR code up in the corner.
Nice.
One of our corners.
Yeah. Or scan the QR code. It's much easier. Yeah.
And that will lead you to a quick sign-in page. and allow you to get your first 30 days free with us. And then after that first 30 days, we know you're going to love it. So the monthly cost is only $17 a month.
Wow.
Super affordable.
Right.
Anybody that goes to Starbucks more than once a week should be able to do it just easily. No problem.
It's a little less than a university education, just a little.
Just a little. Yeah, I got you. I know someone mentioned Starbucks the other day. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not $4 anymore. It ain't even $5. I've seen my friends' frou coffees. It's $9-10 now. So
oh my gosh,
right now,
3 times a month and you're at $17 or more. So yeah,
you could go there twice and already has you beat. So
right.
Yeah.
So it's super low cost, super affordable, and first 30 days free. My free gift from Jeff.com.
Absolutely. Or scan that QR code, because that's going to make it a whole lot easier. and we like to make people's life easier, not harder.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So they have resources. You have 2 meetings twice a day. Is there like an open chat for them, like to send you questions? I mean, what all can they expect within the university kind of functionality?
Yeah. So the calls will be an hour each, and after each call, the content, the recording, and the transcript will be sent out. And then, yes, absolutely. In between each call, if people have questions, they can email us, reach out, and should I say anytime?
Sure. I mean, email won't wake us up at night. Don't worry. It's all right. Don't text me, but you can.
You can email.
You can text me. My phone's on mute until I'm ready to work. So.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
So, yep.
Yeah. So email anytime, and if we don't get to, responding to a question by email, we can absolutely bring it up within the next call, the next 1 hour call.
Yep.
So since you're recording the calls, are you going to be building like a library of all the recordings then in ICU, so all your members can access them at any time?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yep. Building that out. So yeah. So even if they don't join right away, anytime you join, we want you to join as quick as you can.
Join now, but yeah, yeah.
But as we go and as we bring in more and more people, then yes, they will have the access to the recordings all the way back to August 20th, 2024.
I think it's awesome, and I look forward to seeing that build, because like you said, you've spent a number of times, a lot of money trying to sort through and figure out what resources. Now, that does not to say that a resource that didn't work for you may not work for someone else.
Exactly.
But why reinvent the wheel if somebody already lost a ton of money and had a painful experience? If you can help somebody avoid that.
And even the same thing that so when I went in 2015, I guess it was, after that year of migraines, and found the neurofeedback, and it completely wiped out those migraines within a month. And I was like, yes, I get my life back. And then I had 2 more brain surgeries after that, one in 18 and one in 21. I went back after the 2021 surgery, and it didn't do a thing. So it's, it just depends. The brain is a very fickle animal, and it does not like to be messed with. And so every time you do, it presents something a little different. And every time it does, it's no guarantee, just like anything else. There's no guarantee that the same thing that worked 5 years ago is going to work this time. But maybe something else will that's new. And that was the case for sure. There was side effects that presented itself with the 2021 brain surgery that I didn't have with any others, and something completely different helped with that. So you never know. So
is a migraine or a headache something that you have experienced after every brain surgery, or not all the time?
Well, no, after the 2 of them in 2014 was the nonstop migraines for a year, but headaches they're just a thing. When you have hydrocephalus, it's just there's a foreign object living in your brain. Headaches are a thing, just about every day, but it's just a matter of what kind of headache and how bad is it, and
can we minimize it?
That's right.
Tone it down.
That's right.
A little better,
so
it's not just sitting on the couch, writhing in pain.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is your vision for the future of ICU?
Man, you want to go first? Yeah.
So obviously we would love to see the community grow and grow and grow. Mm-hmm. We want to see how many people we can reach, how many people we can benefit, support, encourage. But also we would love for it to lead to one-on-one conversations as well. So kind of some one-on-one counseling. That's not totally set up yet, but we can see that as a direction of, bringing, maybe it's a couple, or maybe it's a parent and a child, that are working through a diagnosis and with the caregiver, bring them on, together, in a one-on-one situation with Jeff and I, to really dive deep into what it is that they're experiencing, and how can we practically support them.
Because sometimes there's just not room on the call for that. There might be, maybe there's 50 people on the call, and one is, needs that more personalized, time. So we've got
or maybe they need the privacy. Maybe they just feel better being more private instead of, maybe they're not ready to share with the whole world. Because a lot of people don't, just because they're afraid of being judged.
It's true. And so we have an option for that, so we can meet with them personally and point them in the right direction. And so, that's an option we have for those that don't want to necessarily do it on the calls.
And since it was brought up, I should probably mention the confidentiality, within an ICU call. Kind of like Las Vegas. What happens at ICU stays in ICU.
That's right.
Without
your permission, we're not going to spill all your business out
everywhere.
Right. Nobody's info is being sold, or nope.
No, because not everybody's comfortable telling their story. But I really love the people that are and are able to share that, because that way so many other people don't need to suffer in silence and think that they're the only ones or they're struggling.
Yeah.
And sometimes even just listening to somebody else's issue goes, it makes a person, like you said, if they're not comfortable sharing what they're going through, oh, that's what I'm going through, I'm going to try that too, even if they don't speak up.
Yeah, and who knows, you may learn from something from them as well. I mean, I always think we're constantly learning and constantly growing. So we have a couple minutes left. What is one thing you would like the audience to take away from this episode?
Oh man, I had it right here and I lost it. But, I just would say, first of all, you are not alone. You have a voice, and we want to help you with that voice. And by the way, life does not have to be perfect to be amazing. So just because there's a condition in there doesn't mean that life is over. 7 brain surgeries in, hello. And there's people that I know with my condition that are in the triple digits that are half my age. Your life is not over just because you get diagnosed with something. There is still hope. There's always hope. So
reach out, connect.
Yes.
We'd love to connect with you.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And I love that. People need to be able to connect and have that support. So I really love that you guys are doing this and have that university and your show. And I would say too, if you have a condition or something that you're ready to share, and maybe you also provide your perspectives, definitely want to connect with Jeff and Catherine, see about being on the invisible condition. There's a lot of ways we can connect and collaborate.
Yes. The email for that should be in the notes. I think I sent it to you, but it's invisiblecondition@e360tv.com. And so if anybody wants to talk about that, or anybody has any questions about ICU, invisiblecondition@e360tv.com. So.
Yep. And remember, he's living proof. It is not all in your head. So, and I love that. That's great. Cause like I said, it's not all in your head. People like tell you, oh, you're making that up, or you just met. Not all in your head. You obviously have a couple here that can relate possibly to some of the things challenges that you've come. So thank you, both of you, Catherine and Jeff, for taking the time, for being on Mindful Mondays and sharing all of your knowledge and some of your journey with the audience. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
We are so thankful to you to give us the opportunity. Thank you.
We're all about being mindful. Like I said, the more we can create that community, the better we do it together. So thank you guys, and we will catch you all next week.